Hello and welcome back to another Catharsis Healing Talk. My name is Helmut and I am here again with our friends Laura, Keddie, and Laura Philpot. Hi, guys. And of course, Kay. Hi, Kay.
Hi.
Kay Cordell Whitaker, the author of The Reluctant Shaman, Sacred Link, The Weavings, and her latest book, The Seven No-Nos. We have talked about the book in several of our previous healing talks. And we often mention that we talk about self sovereignty and freedom. And like the subtitle of the Seven No-Nos, The Guide to Awakening and Freedom. So we thought we should clarify what that means. What does a life lived in self sovereignty and freedom look like compared to a Muggle life? Kay,
All right.
take us off.
That's a heavy subject. Okay. With self sovereignty and freedom, what most people know about that in our modern culture is not very true. Self sovereignty and freedom. We have, through the years, we have lost lots of our self guidance and our self care when it comes to every level of care within our bodies, within ourselves, within our lives. We've given away so much of our power to our blind beliefs and hence to our culture and to the powers that be in our culture. We have never really known real self-sovereignty or freedom. And this is a big part of what these ancient teachings are all about. Whether you're going to talk about trying to make some kind of a government or a social organization, or if you wanted to try to make a religion, even just to make all the ideas, the rules, you want people to follow. As soon as people jump into that religion, they're giving away a tremendous amount of their sovereignty, their personal sovereignty and their freedom. And they don't even know it. They think what they're getting is that they're belonging to something, that they are part of something, they're part of community, even if it's something with a government, even a village government, or maybe it's as big as a state or it's as big as our country. We have so many rules and laws and regulations and confinements that we have lost a lot of what true self-sovereignty and freedom are. We just gave it away. We didn't know any better. We were conned into it. And it always looks like a good idea to the masks and the blind beliefs that we're carrying. We often call those masks and blind beliefs are the same thing, but sometimes we use that word mask in terms of the blind beliefs taking action and what they're like when they've gotten a hold of us, our mind. They're on our face, they're in our mouth, they're in our eyes. They are the masks that we wear. And our whole culture is following that suit. What self-sovereignty is like for these ancient teachings and for people like the Hedikas and the pre-flood Egyptians, they were able to make decisions and choices for themselves, their lives, their families, their own homes, where they're going to live, how they're going to live, what kind of home they can build. We can't even build anything but what is strictly on the building rules for our state or our county. We can't make a shed. We can't make a new garage attachment. We can't add a bathroom without all this permission. We have to get permission. And it all has to be done in certain ways. And some of these rules make sense when you get a lot of people together in a crowded place, a town or a city, big city, especially the more crowded it gets, the more of these constraints you have to have. But this is just on the outside, on the outward activities of our lives. What the ancients are more concerned with is what's on the inside. What are we doing on the inside? And with our blind beliefs, we have made so many rules and constraints, conditions, and the shoulds and the don'ts and must do. You can only do A, B, C, D, nothing else. And these are parts of our blind beliefs, all of them. And for every one of us, nobody is excluded from this programming in our modern culture. We're trained in this from the time we're born to take on these ideas, these beliefs, these rules, these constraints, the shoulds. Who should I be? Who should I become? We're always asking somebody else, what do I take in school next year? What do I need to take? What do I have to take? What should I be taking? If we want to go on to the next grade or maybe go on to the next higher school level, we have to have all these different classes and programs and studies and all this regulation, all this programming. And what does that do to us? What does that make us? We are not really free. We're not really self-sovereign. In America, we talk like we are, and we use the words, and perhaps compared to other countries, we might be a little bit more than they are sometimes, maybe. But with these blind beliefs, what they make us do all the time, how we react on automatic pilot, we're not even really thinking things through. We're just reacting. We're taking the action that is expected. And we've never made a choice. That is not self-sovereignty. This is not freedom. So for them, the real freedom and self-sovereignty has to come from all the things that are going on inside us and what our blind beliefs are busy doing to control us and get us to do what they want us to do. That comes down to everything that is with our general thinking, our general thoughts, our general life. It goes into our emotions and what emotions are allowed and how much. That's really big in this culture. How much emotion are you supposed to be able to have and experience? And how much are you supposed to be able to show to other people? Even your mate, your lover, even your own children, your babies. How much emotion are you supposed to be showing? And if you show more than that, it's considered wrong and dangerous, and you might be end up being hurtful to the people around you. Eh, Maybe not intending it, but that much emotion we consider hurtful. And if we continue doing it, we'll end up having to go to some kind of psychiatrist or psychologist or a mental hospital or get special care. And of course, the drugs that dampen down your emotions and your thinking, and they totally turn off any kind of feeling. Your physical senses, your spirit senses, all the feeling, the big feeling of what the world is, feeling of the love and the beauty and the peace and creativity. We've been robbed. We've been robbed of that. All the while, the people that have done this robbing, either they don't have a clue that they're doing it, or if they do know, they're just telling you this is good for you. You're going to be healthier and safer and happier. And you'll have a happier life and a happier relationship, and everything's going to be nice, nice. But it isn't. So, what we like to do is to learn to get rid of our blind beliefs and question them, call them out, question them. And if you don't like what you see, if you don't like what it's making you do or be or think like or be dumb like, numb, then toss it out. Stop believing in it. Stop letting that beast run your show. And with that, we learn how to feel the depths of our emotions. The ancients say that the emotions are like a very deep well of pure water, very deep well. And we're just, in our modern culture, we're just sort of splashing around at the top. Or maybe not even getting in it. Maybe we just dip in it every now and then or splash it on us. But the deeper you go, the stronger the emotions are, the more passionate they are. And at the bottom of that well, that's a great big door to all the spirit senses, all the feelings, all the kinds of spirit senses that we have that we can learn to experience and control and navigate. Modern world, they just don't know what any of that is. They've lost it. They've turned it off and they deny it to each other. Anybody that starts getting close is in trouble. They get pounded on to make them shut down again, be numb again. But no, that well and going to the bottom of it and going into the world, the universe of spirit senses and how beautiful they are, how passionate they are, and how you feel with everything, every fiber of your body and your energy, your spirit, your song. You feel it. And this is with things that you're doing, that you're choosing to do, things that you love, any kind of activity. You can perceive the world with this depth of the spirit senses and the depth of emotions. You can feel the emotions of others. You can feel your own emotions like you've never felt before. And they're so beautiful, they're beyond words. So, what kind of descriptions do you guys have for self sovereignty and freedom? And maybe your own experiences.
Want me to go first, Laura? For learning these ancient teachings, there was like a disconnect with my heart. I put myself last, others before me, follow the rules, don't even know my own wants, my own desires, because that was not the most important thing. Not knowing who and what I am. Yeah, it's you kind of giving your power away. And I did. And the ancient teachings have been such that it gives you the power to have complete and total responsibility for your actions, what you say, what you feel, what you do. That's freedom to be able to observe your own thoughts and emotions and then make a choice of how you're going to react and how you're going to perceive. And then you can start loving yourself. I think that was my most number one thing I've been working on lately is loving myself, because if you can't love yourself, how can you truly love somebody else? How can you feel that aliveness is all around you? This has truly been one of the biggest things for me, is to really realize I was not loving myself, and I couldn't love myself. I couldn't connect with other people because I was always holding something back. So it's freedom to be able to look and see at where I'm holding back love, where I'm holding back my passion. Because if we're creating all the time, what am I creating if I'm not creating from the heart? If I'm not creating from my authentic self? So these teachings give you freedom, freedom to love yourself, and then ultimately freedom to love everybody else, because you can embrace everybody else. You don't have all those no-nos in the way of judging, separating, contracting. That's what it's giving me a freedom to choose. And that is definitely sovereignty. What about you, Laura Keddie?
I didn't have my mic on. I'm sorry. I was my own jailer. I think that's one of the biggest things the no-nos showed me is the prison I made for myself. The judgments, the expectations, the blind beliefs, jumping to conclusions, the expectations I put on other people, the negative perceptions, all of those things were hiding me in a world, trapping me in a world. I wasn't free. I was being guided through my life, through those perceptions, through those beliefs. It was holding back so much of my life. I wanted to explore the nonlinear and my spirit abilities. I was afraid of doing that, afraid of the judgment of others, I thought. And then when I broke down, truly started writing down, you follow these practices of the 7 No-Nos, and you start making your list, and as you're making your list and these practices, a lot of the blind beliefs and the judgments seem very external. And then once those are gone, you start digging deeper, and um a lot of the beliefs and the judgments that were holding me back from the life I wanted to live were the ones I was putting on myself through my fears. And the fear, all of these fears were trapping me into a life that was not my purpose, was not my passion. I was following the should monster. I was following all of the should of a, professional female adult in the modern world, and not my heart, and not the gifts that I came here to see and use and do. They were hidden by every single no. They were a trap. They still catch me now and then. I'm still working through many of them, but it's the freedom I started tasting, the sovereignty of letting those beliefs go, letting the judgment go. It was just the physical freedom. I recently got into a real negative babble going on in my head around certain things, and I felt trapped. I felt I couldn't see the beauty out there in the world that I'd gotten used to. It was such a box suddenly to be back in. It was painful, uncomfortable after seeing the beauty and the power and the manifesting that comes with bringing, I have this beautiful life of ease now. Now that I've slipped into the beauty and felt the freedom, I don't want to go back. It's just like and felt the love. All of that is not in that box with you and the no-nos. None of that is in the box with you and those no-nos. And when you let those no-nos go and the freedom outside of this box to really be who you are, and all of us are so much more. We are so much more, as Kay talks about the nonlinear being 90% of who we are, and that's not in the box with you. You're living in your 10% world, basically. You're living with a shadow of yourself. I think there's a few conversations Macbeth had about that in Tomorrow and Tomorrow. We live these lives of silent desperation, and that's in the box. That's without the freedom. And that's what I was feeling. I felt the call of my song, the call to more. And it is a brave journey. And it takes the courage coming out of this Muggle world to follow that call. But the no-nos, is such a simple way of starting to chip away. You don't have to burn down the box unless you really want to. But there is sovereignty on the other side, and I've felt it, and I'm living it, and I'm not going back. Absolutely not. Helmut, you got thoughts?
A lot of thoughts. I shared yesterday that the whole world, our whole lives in the Muggle world are a play, like a theater play.
Mhm.
And we have been programmed to play our part in it by the education, by the church, by the culture, by our parents, by everybody. And so we end up being puppets on strings. And we just follow the rules that have been laid out for us. And that's who we become, and that's how we live. And we never know who we are, what our song really wants, what our true essence really wants, why I came here, and what the teachings do, and especially, of course, the Seven No-Nos, is you cut off the strings, and then life starts. You start, and you move to love and beauty and peace and healing and joy and all the cool stuff that are our natural way of being, that are our human heritage, our birthright. As long as we let the string tangle and have those rules and regulations and programming decide how we live, we have no connections with the real us and what life is really about.
I always think the no-nos are so darn serious. You're doing a no-no, they're serious. And they literally take all the playfulness and joy and spontaneity and innocence out of life. So if you're doing the no-nos, taking all the fun out of life.
Yes.
I like that what you said about the human potential. I always feel like I often tell students who are interested in these studies or other people about the studies that Katasi is about finding the human potential in all of us. It really leads us to the more, and it's finding the freedom to explore the more. And Kay, I liked your deep well. You were talking about feels like that.
I guess we're done for today. Any more thoughts? All right. We leave it here. Thank you so much, Laura and Laurie. Thank you, Kay.
Thank you, Laura and Laura, so much.
Thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you, everybody. Love you all.
If you want to check out
Bye-bye.
the book, here it is again.
Here it is.
All right. Have fun. Love you. See you next time.